All right, this is the Ensenada 20. It's a 1975 model, 20 foot, obviously, by the name. I'm making this video so that, I don't know, maybe something I discover as I'm trying to return this bad boy to the sea, as I'm repairing things, and hopefully it helps future Ensenada owners. I'm making this video because when I bought this, the guy who I bought it from had only owned it for 5 months, had never sailed before, never put this thing in the water. He had never even opened the bag of sails, so he knew nothing about it. So I just had to figure out the rigging and whatnot on my own. I own a Pintail 14, and there is a very large community on Facebook that's very active, and every question I had about that boat, they were able to answer. The guy who's the, I guess, the creator of that Facebook group was able to get his hands on like the actual engineering, like blueprints and drawings. So when I had to rebuild a new rudder for it from scratch, I was able to make it identical to the factory model. For the Ensenada 20, that doesn't seem to be the case. There really isn't a lot of people out there with information on this boat. Manuals, as far as I'm aware, cannot find any online. There's just nothing about it. I did join a Facebook group that has, I think, 12 people on it. And so they were able to give me a few answers on things, but the community is just a lot smaller. I'm just guessing there's not a lot of these out there. So hopefully this helps somebody somewhere. I don't really know what I'm doing. My sailing experience is truly limited to the Pintail 14, which is a great little boat. I love it. But I needed something bigger that would accommodate my family. And it's me and my wife, a young family with 3 kids, ages 5 months old, 2.5, and 4. And so I needed a boat that could do really shallow water, was small enough to fit on a trailer, and had a ton of cabin space so that my children could be in the boat and with enough space to have fun without being, subject to falling overboard all the time. The Ensenada is fantastic in that for a 20-foot boat, right about 14 feet of it is cabin space, and the cabin is very wide. Rather than having a small walkway here, the cabin truly just, it goes all the way out to the edges. Fantastic for, it's basically, it's a little camper on the water. Swing keel is fantastic for shallow water. I wanted shallow water versus like a full keel that runs the length of the boat, but it's only 2 or 3 feet long. I wanted something that could truly fold up in the boat because I myself live on the water. I live on in the city of Hampton on the Chesapeake Bay, which is a great place for sailing. And I wanted a boat that could pull up into my backyard. This is known as the Back River. It's not actually a river in any way, shape, or form. It's really more like a bay or an inlet off of the Chesapeake Bay. There's my Pintail 14. But I needed a boat that could come up. Wow, it is unusually low tide. That is shocking. But I needed a boat that could come up to my dock that I could load my family up. I launched my Pintail from my backyard. I'm not going to be able to do that with the Ensenada 20, but there is a boat ramp just up the waterway, just down the street. So I will launch the boat from there, pull up to here when it's not insanely low tide like this, and do my thing. So the Ensenada 20 was the perfect boat for what I needed. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Could not have asked for anything more. It has 3 beds. I'm going to walk around on the inside in a second. But it's got the kind of the Dorito-shaped bed, the V berth, I think they call it, up in the front. And it has 2 single-person beds that run under the seats on the deck. So I've taken out all the cushions except for one partial cushion on the V berth there. And now let me just take a second. So sitting in the back of the boat, we have shore power here, which is fantastic. That runs, and I have 15 amp outlets down there, so when I'm hooked up to shore power, and it's also charging the battery for the boat for DC power. So we step in here, and there's a bed here. It runs all the way back there. Lots of storage. This whole thing is storage. Same thing on the right side of the boat. Even past the ends of the bed, there's a lot of storage back there that's accessible from that hatch, which has a lock on it. So you can put stuff in here. And that also means that there's 3 ways out of this boat. We have the original, the normal opening. We have this one right here, which pops all the way open. That's on the other side of the sink. And we have that hatch back there. But anyway, so cushions here, cushions there. I have them inside right now. After we bought it, I just decided to wash everything. There is the control panel just to the right of the sink. Again, it's a bit dirty. I've been working in here. That's like muddy footprints from when it was raining and then I was crawling in and out. We have this board here that comes up if you want it to be removed. That's pretty easy. You have a nice table here. So in their cushions, it is right in front of the door. But hey, if you want to, if you're hanging out at the table, you have a nice view of the ocean, I suppose. The depth finder is currently not hooked up. There's a compass that is currently not hooked up to electricity, which is fine. I'm not bothered by that. I'll probably hook it up later on, but yeah, not right now. So this whole thing under here, this sink actually drains out of the boat. So you're not storing any water that you've used. The faucet is currently out, but that will be replaced, and there'll be a small water tank underneath with a little hand pump attached to an RV, like a pop-up pump. Barometer, I believe that is. Nice windows. They're very long. Each window is about 3.5 feet long. I've seen other pictures of people installing windows by the V berth, but this one does not have that. So this is actually something that was installed. There's the swing keel bolts are there, and I have not washed the inside of this right now. This has been sitting again for 20 years without being used. 21 years. So I'm still cleaning. So the inside of that was gunky. And I need to clean it. But from the factory, directly under this hatch is actually a portable toilet, which was, again, as far as I can tell from the few drawings that I did get, there's actually a portable toilet in here, and it actually attaches to the floor in there. And then that that hatch actually gives you a little bit more room. I'm 5'10". I have an excessively long torso with so when I sit a bit higher than most people do. When I'm sitting on that toilet, I can almost sit all the way up, but my head would lean forward slightly if my back was completely straight. But with that hatch open, um, absolutely no issues there. Um, there's the DC battery charger that converts from AC to DC. Um, underneath, so more storage under here, under the small portion of the V berth that I do have in here, the cushion. There's more storage all the way up to the nose of the boat. Again, the inside of this cabin, obviously, like from the door, not counting any of that space, but from the door to the bow is about 14 feet inside. There's a extra support there. It kind of stiffens the roof, the walkway. The distance from the ceiling to the cushion is about 3.5 to, I wouldn't say quite 4 feet, but it's more than 3. It's somewhere between 3 and 4 feet. On camera, I'm looking at the phone, and it seems kind of tight, but in reality, and sitting in here, it feels quite spacious. There was an old CB radio. It was, when I say old, I mean it was insanely old. I pulled it out. As far as I could tell, it wasn't working anymore. So that is where that would have gone. Someone installed some very new speakers recently, so I kept those just in case I get another radio. But this is a fantastic boat on the inside. I think when I watch a lot of sailing videos, most people are just interested in what's, the outside, the rigging, the sails, the mast, the deck. While that is awesomely important to me, a fun fact, this little spot with all my tools and bags is quite deep. It is actually designed specifically to hold coolers. From the few drawings that I was able to find. There's some DC 12-volt plugs. There's also one out there, so you can hook up your auto tiller. This boat did have one, but it was also old and partially non-functioning. I kept the parts that were functioning and threw away the rest. But yeah, this is the cabin is important to me. When the cushions are all in here, it's really nice. It's clean. The walls are clean. It looks a little dark. The electrical, everything works. The running lights, or nav lights, I guess we'd call them in aviation. Everything works. It's, the wiring is in great shape. But the cabin is important to me. I have children, and when things are getting a little, whether it's just first starting off, getting the sails set and or just setting up the rigging, whatever it may be, I need a place for my kids to be where they're out of the way, out of harm's way. So this boat was absolutely perfect. I really, given what we're working with, like the shallow water in our backyard, stuff like that, anything bigger wouldn't really work for me. This was fantastic. The whole boat cost me $1,200. From a guy who owned the boat for 5 months, who had never sailed before, never put this in the water. He didn't understand what he had. When I opened the sail bag, he has 5 or 6 sails in there. Several of them are brand new. I mean, brand new. The guy who had this 5 months ago or 6 months ago before him had new sails made, and then he was really, really old. He just decided, he's the one who's like put in the new speakers and some other stuff. He just decided he couldn't do it anymore. He was just physically wasn't capable. Sold it to this guy for absolutely nothing, because they're out in the boonies in Gloucester, I believe, northern Gloucester County in Virginia. And so he sold it for a song and a dance. The guy who bought it just didn't really understand what he had and sold it to me, a very solid, sound boat, for next door to nothing, because he didn't really know what to do with it. And again, out in the boonies, there really weren't a lot of people to sell it to. The farming community isn't really known for their sailing, so there just weren't a lot of sailors out there. Everyone had John boats and bass boats and stuff like that. But this is the Ensenada 20. This is kind of all over the place, but I'm hoping as I continue to just kind of fix this boat up and I make some more videos and run the sales up that I can help somebody with understanding this boat a little bit. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic boat. I don't know what has been added that wasn't factory, like whether the factory model actually had shore power hookup, 30 amp, um, and any receptacles like that. Obviously, the receptacle itself is pretty new, but whether or not there was one originally, I don't know. So I don't know what's factory, what's not, but every boat's going to be a little bit different. I have the rudder set up, but the tiller itself is in here for now. So yeah, right over here we have the winch for the swing keel. I believe the ballast for this boat is somewhere in the 500-pound range. So I'm assuming that is the keel itself, which is rather thick and large. Plus, in the bottom of each of these compartments and several up there, there are giant lead weights that have been put into the boat against the hull under the water line and fiberglassed in place. So the keel comes up quite easily. It's a little bit dirty in there. This is actually, of course, this is common sense, but because a cable runs through, that's also a drain hole. So everything out here, including this, is designed to drain back and go down that hole. When I did get the boat, the hole was clogged. And so when I bought the boat, this was full of water in here. But as soon as I just poked through the dirt there, everything drained. So compass, which needs compass fluid. I need to remove that, see if I can fix where there might be a leak, replace any seals that need to be replaced, and get that compass up and going. I guess it does work the way it is, but it's going to move around a lot more, oscillate without the fluid in there. We have the winches here. I'm assuming that's what you call them. Again, I am not a very experienced sailor. Self-taught completely. I started with the Pintail 14, and behind my house, I taught myself for about a year of just a whole lot of sailing, and started out not knowing what I was doing at all. But so that was pretty stupid. The first time I went out was actually in right before a storm hit, and really high winds, and turns out small sailboats and 20-knot winds don't go together when you have no idea what you're doing. So I survived, but learning experience. I've seen photos of people cutting out sections to the left of the sink and putting in small propane stoves with little small propane disposable propane containers attached underneath inside the cabinet there. So that's the inside of the boat. This is probably a boring video. I'm sorry. Most people, if anyone watches this, I'm sure they haven't gone this far. So my boat here has these stays that there's two on the left, two on the right. Obviously, the head stay, I think it's called, the back stay. They attach at different levels here, and this actually threw me. Originally, I had the lower stay in the front and the taller stay in the back, and that actually messed things up a bit as far as trying to get the mast in the correct spot. So I had to swap those around. So again, if you have the same kind of setup, if this is factory, the taller stay, the longer stay goes in the front, shorter stay goes in the back. Got this up here, replacing a nav light there. But anyway, I don't have a ton to show you aside from just kind of walking around the boat a little bit. But this is the Ensenada 20. It seems to be a really solid boat. the few people that I've found that had one or got to sail one or still have one speak highly of this boat. Like I said, it's a little camper on the water, really. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll get more videos, and hopefully, I'll be able to find something like, hey guys, when on the Ensenada 20, here's the best way to remove the keel while it's still on the trailer. I don't know. We'll see.